nice to meet you. And what is your name, please?
I'm Richard Goodall. I'm from Terre Haute, Indiana.
In a world saturated with influencers and auto-tune stars, no one expected a humble janitor from Terre Haute, Indiana, to silence a crowd with nothing but raw talent and heart. But that's exactly what happened when Richard Goodall, mop in hand and courage in voice, sang his way from middle school hallways to the biggest talent stage in America. What started as a casual hallway performance turned into a cultural lightning strike. His viral TikTok not only captured millions of views, it awakened something deeper in people across the nation. The story seemed too poetic to be true. A man overlooked for decades suddenly being cheered on by the very legends he grew up idolizing. But behind the overnight fame was a journey decades in the making, filled with heartbreak, rejection, resilience, and a voice that refused to be silenced. And just when you think you've heard the whole story, Richard Goodall hits another note you never saw coming. It all began with a 15-second moment that no one planned. Inside the quiet halls of West Vigo Middle School, a cell phone camera captured Richard Goodall standing beside a stairwell, mop bucket nearby, singing "Don't Stop Believin'" with the kind of soul that stops you in your tracks. There were no stage lights, no microphones, just Richard, a school janitor with decades of unnoticed service, belting out a rock anthem like he was born for it. The video, posted on TikTok by a student, exploded within hours. It hit 1 million views, then 5, then 10. But the real shock came when Steve Perry, the legendary voice of Journey, commented directly, "I love this." Richard's world changed in an instant. The same man he had spent years listening to on a dusty stereo had just given him a digital standing ovation. Richard replied with sincere disbelief, "Love your music, sir. Thank you for commenting. This means so much to me." Soon after, the official Journey account reposted the video. Suddenly, it wasn't just fans watching, it was the very icons who defined the genre. But as the view count kept rising and the applause grew louder, something unexpected happened. The story was no longer just about a viral video. It was about an unassuming man who had, for the first time in his life, been truly heard. And yet, as Richard's name began trending, an even bigger voice was about to echo across his screen and change his fate. As the video continued its meteoric rise, what followed was a cascade of celebrity attention that no one, least of all Richard, could have predicted. First, it was Steve Perry, then Journey's official endorsement, but the moment that sent shockwaves through the entertainment world came when comedian and America's Got Talent judge Howie Mandel entered the scene. In a stitched TikTok reaction, Howie looked into the camera, visibly moved, and typed the words that would launch a movement. "This man needs to be on AGT." That clip ignited a firestorm. NBC's talent division shared it. Online forums lit up. Blue-check personalities from across the spectrum, singers, actors, producers, reshared Richard's performance, many of them adding their own version of the same message. Get him on the stage. For Richard, a man used to cleaning up after performances, the sudden shift was dizzying. He admitted publicly that he thought it was all a hoax. "I kept checking the accounts. I was sure they were fake," he told his Instagram followers. "Didn't want to get my hopes up." But they weren't fake. This was very real. The internet wasn't just applauding him, it was demanding a spotlight. And just when it seemed like everything was aligning, an unexpected twist hit his inbox. Instead of a golden ticket, he received a rejection. Just as the wave of praise reached its peak, Richard Goodall was hit with a blow no one saw coming. Amid the flood of encouragement to take his talent to the next level, he submitted a virtual audition for The Voice, choosing the same song that had sparked his viral fame, "Don't Stop Believin'." But what he got in return was not an invitation. It was a quiet, automated dismissal. "Hello, Richard," the email read. "Thank you so much for auditioning in our virtual open call. We have reviewed your performance. Unfortunately, you will not be moving on to the next round." For a man finally being seen after years of silence, the rejection stung. Publicly, Richard kept it graceful, posting the news with the caption, "Just so everyone knows, I'm worthy of the voice, but I'll try for it." But beneath the calm was a deep frustration, a sentiment shared by thousands of supporters who now viewed the decision as a missed opportunity of epic proportions. Instead of retreating, Richard pivoted. He aimed for something even bigger. America's Got Talent. This time, the response was different. Not only did AGT accept his audition, but during his live performance, Judge Heidi Klum slammed the golden buzzer. Confetti rained down. The janitor from Terre Haute was no longer just internet famous. He was officially in the national spotlight. But success came with its own complications. With a televised competition looming and a minimum wage paycheck behind him, one looming question remained. How would he afford the dream he'd just unlocked? While America cheered for Richard Goodall on national television, the reality behind the scenes was far less glamorous. Competing on America's Got Talent meant traveling across the country, staying in California for weeks, and preparing for high-stakes performances, all expenses that his modest janitor's salary couldn't begin to cover. That's when the people of Terre Haute stepped in. Chris Bond, a local resident and longtime friend of Richard's, launched a GoFundMe campaign titled, "Let's Support Terre Haute's 80 Golden Buzzer winner." The initial goal was to simply cover airfare and hotel costs. But within days, something remarkable happened. Donations poured in, not just from Indiana, but from across the country. From retirees and teachers to music fans and complete strangers, the campaign crossed $115,000 in just 9 days. As of June 9th, 2024, over 380 people had contributed, each one leaving messages of support, admiration, and love. The fund covered not only Richard's travel, but also allowed his family to join him in California, ensuring he wouldn't face the next round alone. "Your generosity has taken away the worry," Richard said in a thank you video, his voice cracking with emotion. "Now I can just focus on the music." For many, this wasn't just about helping a contestant, it was about giving back to someone who had quietly served his community for years. A man who had once sung alone in a custodial closet now had an entire town, and much of the nation, backing his every note. But even with the money and momentum behind him, Richard still longed for one missing piece, a real band to stand beside him on stage. Long before viral fame and standing ovations, Richard Goodall often sang alone in his room, harmonizing with a worn-out stereo and daydreaming about what it might feel like to have a band of his own. But those dreams slowly began turning into reality. Not on a televised stage, but in the smoky back rooms of Indiana's bar scene. After his TikTok moment catapulted him to national attention, Richard's longtime local band, Manipa, found themselves suddenly in demand. Bar owners, booking agents, and festival organizers all wanted a piece of the singing janitor and his classic rock charm. "We didn't expect the flood of requests," said one band member. "We just kept saying yes." By July 2024, Manipa was booked solid, playing every weekend at venues like Archie's Sports Bar, where fans packed in shoulder to shoulder just to hear Richard hit that legendary high note. Richard, always humble, made sure to give credit where it was due. In a Facebook post, he wrote, "Thank you to the band for your awesome hard work and to our manager for securing the gigs. See you folks Saturday night at Archie's. Don't miss a note." The buzz grew so loud, rumors even swirled that AGT producers were considering a special appearance by the full band in the finals. For Richard, this wasn't just about recognition, it was about belonging. After years of singing solo in silence, he now had a team, a sound, and a rhythm behind him. But as his musical life took off, another chapter, much more private and painful, was quietly weighing on his heart. Behind the spotlight, beyond the cameras and viral headlines, Richard Goodall carried a weight that even the brightest stage lights couldn't erase. Long before his America's Got Talent debut, Richard was a devoted husband. He and his late wife, whose name he keeps private out of respect, shared more than 30 years of love, tradition, and quiet companionship. Every Valentine's Day, every Christmas, every simple milestone, they celebrated together. That chapter came to a heartbreaking end on June 19th, 2021. After a grueling battle with cancer, she passed away, leaving behind a grief that Richard would later describe in raw, devastating words. In a now-deleted Instagram post, he wrote, "I'm so sorry. I did my best, but my best wasn't good enough. Cancer is like getting punched in the gut, falling to the ground, then being told to get back up and start all over." For many, it was the first time they saw the pain behind the performer, and it made every note he sang afterward feel that much deeper. But life, with its unpredictable rhythm, wasn't finished writing his story. A little more than a year after her passing, Richard posted a photo on Instagram that surprised some followers. Him smiling beside a woman named Angie, captioned simply, "Fun night with my Lane at Taco Tequilas." Angie soon became a familiar presence in his social media posts and his life, especially during his AGT journey, where he spoke about her with warmth and gratitude. Some fans praised the healing, others voiced hesitation, but Richard remained grounded, embracing the second chance at happiness that found him in the wake of tremendous loss. For him, moving forward didn't mean forgetting. It meant honoring the past while allowing joy to return. Still, the question lingered. Would the emotional wounds of his private life deepen his stage presence or distract from the performance of a lifetime? Winning the Golden Buzzer was a life-changing moment. But for Richard Goodall, the months after America's Got Talent brought a mix of triumph, speculation, and unexpected choices that left fans both inspired and puzzled. By early 2025, Richard had cemented his place as one of the most beloved AGT winners in recent memory. Yet, instead of diving headfirst into a full-time entertainment career, he did something few expected. He kept his job as a janitor. "It keeps me grounded," he told a local Indiana news outlet. "This is where I started. This is still home." For many, it was a move that proved Richard wasn't chasing fame. He was simply following his voice. That humility didn't stop his star from rising. He began booking small theater shows across the Midwest, often selling out weekend performances. His hometown shows became community events, where neighbors, former students, and first-time fans gathered not just to watch a show, but to celebrate one of their own. Meanwhile, rumors began swirling in Hollywood. Sources close to AGT producers hinted at a biopic in development, with Richard himself stating in an interview, half-jokingly, that he hoped Zac Efron would play him. Even more surprising, whispers that Simon Cowell, the often skeptical judge who once stood up for Richard, might sign on as an executive producer. But it wasn't all talk. Richard confirmed that he was working on a debut EP, his first professionally recorded project, funded in part by donations and early support. In a nod to his roots, he pledged a portion of the proceeds to support school arts programs, hoping to inspire the next kids singing alone in a classroom after school. Richard Goodall was no longer just a janitor or even just a singer. He had become a symbol of possibility. But for all the headlines and milestones, he continued to carry himself with quiet grace, often reminding fans, "I'm just the same guy with a keyring and a dream." And yet, as 2025 unfolded, one lingering question remained. What's next for the janitor who swept his way into America's heart? Richard Goodall's story isn't just about viral fame or a glittering trophy. It's about the quiet power of staying true to yourself when the world finally listens. In an age where celebrity is often fleeting and artificial, Richard's journey feels real because it is. A janitor who sang alone in a hallway became the voice of a nation's hope. He didn't come from fame, and he didn't chase it. He simply let the music speak. From TikTok to primetime, from grief to healing, from rejection to roaring applause, Richard has lived every beat of a story most artists only dream of. And yet, through all the confetti and headlines, he still walks the same halls he once mopped, not because he has to, but because he chooses to. Maybe that's the secret. Maybe greatness doesn't always mean leaving behind your roots. Sometimes it means watering them with every step forward. Richard Goodall isn't just a singer. He's a reminder that talent knows no job title, and that even the most ordinary lives can hold extraordinary notes, if someone is finally willing to listen. So now we turn to you. Should Richard hang up the mop for good and chase a full-time career in music? Or is his magic found in the balance? One hand on the mic, the other on the keys to a school that still echoes with his dreams? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Because stories like Richard's don't come around often, and the next chapter might be even more surprising.